You know, when you go to Gold Reef City, if you are in South Africa, or any area that has rides in it, there's always that ride. And in Gold Reef City context, it is the Tower of Terror. You know, when that thing stands up there and then it goes, you know, that is navigating, especially the odd numbers between 35 and 40. See, I was okay with 36. Hello, you guys, and welcome back to my channel. I know I've gone AWOL for the last couple of weeks. I have a valid excuse. I was putting in my teeth implants, and those were painful. And I was not gonna come on here looking like a Powerpuff Girl because I had some swelling, but they went well. Be that as it may, I figured let me make this video today because this month is March, and March is my birthday. And let me tell you, I am not sure how to feel about it. I honestly believe there's something that happens to most individuals after they hit 35. It's as though they're having a mini life crisis of some sort where they're starting to do a lot of self-evaluation, and you're starting to look back at your life and thinking, how did I get to 35? How? And most of it has to do with the fact that you're looking back at your life and starting to really think, whew, okay, I've spent 35 years of my life. How much of that have I been authentically true to myself? Am I self-fulfilled? What do I want? Really, what do I want? And I've always just believed that there's something really unfair really about odd numbers. Yeah. Ages like 35, 37, 39, they're always closer to an even number, and that's always closer to a decade when it comes to age of you being alive, and you're getting closer to either being 20 or being 30 or being 40 or being 50. Yeah. They always never sat well with me, but specifically the biggest chunk of it was when I turned 35. I looked back, well, I had a quarter life crisis at 25, but I think at 35, that's when I was just like, okay, try. No, 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 no. Now it's really hitting you are really getting old, because now 40 is no longer this big age that, you know, your parents used to have. Now 40 is like next door. Like 5 years from now, you'll be 40. It doesn't sit well. By the time you hit 35, going upwards towards 40, you most likely have gone through a lot and you've experienced most of what life and adulting is about: the loss, the grief, the challenges, the victories, the happiness, the heartbreaks, all of those highs and lows of life. And they really start making you think, whew, okay, so now that I've gone through all of that, what was the point? What was the biggest lesson that I needed to learn from all of that? And it's that stage for me that is so beautiful if embraced well, or can be quite detrimental and self-sabotaging if not embraced well. We've seen people not embrace it so well and, yeah, end up in clubs with, you know, the young 20-year-olds, because it really is a self-identity phase. You can either grow and mature in your womanhood or malehood, or however you identify as an individual, or you can grow younger. But either way, the reality of the fact that you are getting older is sinking in, whichever way you choose to embrace it. And I'm always like this, I guess, with, like I said, odd numbers. I was okay with turning 36. I embraced it. It was comfortable. I even did a whole photo shoot. It was amazing. But this year I'm turning 37, and I'm just like, wait a minute. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Because it's just one of those really unsettling ages. Nothing about it gives you a sense of relief or a sense of comfort in, okay, yeah, this life thing is lifing, hey? We're growing older. No, instead you're just like, what the heck? Honestly, I was only 18 in 2006. That for me feels like yesterday. So now to blink and all of a sudden I'm turning 37. Cha. Oh, yeah. It's my birthday month, you see. March, Aries, shout out, 27th of March. That's when I turn 37, which is ironically 10 years older than 27. But you know what? I take solace in the fact that with every single growth in terms of years, especially after 35, the more intentional I've been about self-discovery, and the process of really getting to know myself holistically, especially within the society in which we live in now. A lot of the systematic rules and regulations are starting to shift, and embracing that, be it from an innovation and technology perspective, be it from a relationship type perspective when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, be it from a gender dynamics perspective, be it from a racial lens, there's a whole lot of change. And so it can make one feel uncomfortable. But for me, I think once I started to work on myself, I started to find a place for myself within that change where I try to the level of my best ability to shut out the noise and truly identify self. I think with so many moving fruits right now, it's imperative that you really go on a journey of knowing who you are and being authentically unapologetic to that, and really setting firm boundaries and values and non-negotiables when it comes to who you are. In that way, you'll be able to know what your triggers are, what your strengths are, what to harness about you. You'll be able to know what spaces you feel more comfortable in and where you don't feel comfortable in. You'll be able to prioritize activities that bring you peace. I found that between the ages 35 and 36, I realized that I find solace in my own company more than anything. And as a result, I've done so much work and I'm continuing, it's always a work in progress, to do a lot of work on myself to such an extent that I have no qualms with sitting at home, reading a book, watching something, listening to a podcast, and just really actively seeking knowledge. I'm not moved, not that I ever was really, but I'm not moved by a lot of external validation, be it from people, be it finances, be it materialistic things. I was never that person originally, to a certain extent, maybe in my early 20s, but yeah, especially going into my 30s, but it's heightened after 35, where my mental health and my inner self is so, and me working on that is so much more important, because as I look back in my 36 years of living, I realized that a large part of those years was spent on dealing with societal beliefs and norms and expectations, and trying to conform to what people expected me to be, or what people expected of me, how people expected me to show up. Whether that was positive or not, or whether that came from a good place or not, it really fostered me to, especially after 35, to be like, yo, no, no, I no longer want to be in spaces that don't allow me to be authentically myself. I don't want to be in spaces that don't harness my strengths, but instead only impact or highlight the weaknesses. I don't want to be in spaces like that, and start to make moves within that mandate accordingly. And that's really helped me. I mean, we're now living in a global economy and society where there's no longer as much struggle as there was in the past. And so the need for a hero is from a contextual or people perspective or just a movement is no longer as necessary. I think people are a lot more intentional about being their own heroes. And fortunately, 35 gave me an awakening to that. My therapist always likes to talk to me, especially when I started off with therapy. She would speak to me about the concept of radical acceptance. Sometimes it's so important that we radically accept our past and we radically accept the fact that there's nothing we can do about it. But what we have control over is our present and most importantly, our future. And I think it's that mindset that has really changed the game for me because I always battled to find where I fit in. These are conversations that I especially love to have with my friends, especially the small like-minded circle that I keep, and we're all around the same age group where we're all starting to question certain things. And I think we all find ourselves as millennials, especially navigating this world where there is these new societal norms, and we're still trying to manage our upbringing and where we came from, or trying to digest that. So that transition, it leaves a lot of question marks for us because there's a void. You really start to look at the world and you look at yourself and you're just like, hmm? Whereas with our parents, it was never the question of that. It was like, you don't have a choice. Now we have choices. And I think with choices comes confusion at times if you don't intentionally work on what choices best suit you. And the only way you can be able to answer that question is if you know who you are. To a certain extent, it's a constant evolution. You're constantly learning more about yourself, but it's phased. With every phase, you've got to see some sort of growth. I can tell you now that I've grown so much more at this present moment than I was when I was 35. And that's because how, as millennials, especially my generation of people, we've put ourselves under so much pressure to conform to, what society expects us to do, the limited careers that were there in terms of specialization, fields of specialization, medicine, law, accounting, masters, PhDs, that it's become so systematic in how, our parents measure, or our elders measure success rather. And for us, we're starting to really say, no, but I'm not happy. And ask those questions about, am I truly happy? And for a lot of us as millennials, we'll get to the answer where we're saying, nope, I'm not happy. Be that in a relationship, be that at work, be that with your choices in your social circle, all of that. Am I happy with that? Am I happy in terms of how I've shown up as a son, as a daughter? Could I do more for my family, etc., etc.? And with that in mind, I think my friend group and I are really starting to say, you know what? After 35, I think once, especially that age, once it begins to dawn on you that, yeah, you can't help it. The past is the past is the past. There's nothing you can do about it. But in terms of moving forward, you don't have to have it all figured out. There's no race. This thing is a destination, and people walk it in different paces. And sometimes all you need to know is, for example, the place where you want to be at. Sometimes all you need to know is the kind of person that you want to be with. Sometimes all you need to know is the kind of people you want to work with, and let God or the universe do the rest. A lot of us who are millennials, because of the systemic nature of our upbringing, we've never really had the opportunity to be true to self and are asking ourselves these pivotal questions in our 30s, late 30s. Anyways, that brings us to the end of this video. Look, if you are navigating your 30s, honey, enjoy. Enjoy. If I could tell anything to my younger 30 self, you don't have to have it figured out, baby girl. You don't have to. There's time. There's time. There really is. And your journey is unique and it's special to you. And if you are a March baby, happy birthday to you. And if you are also turning anything above 35, Hello, sweetheart. How are you doing? How are you navigating it? I'd love to hear how other people are navigating this age. This 5 year or 4 year, rather, 4 year, it feels like the fastest road trip to the big 40. And do you have highs and lows? Do you have as much as I did? Please share in the comments down below. And also, guys, your commentary either way is very important to me. I will respond accordingly. I love reading all of it. So please engage down below. Okay, until the next time, thank you very much for your support.